The world is changing so quickly that many people do not even have time to fully realize the scale of what is happening. Just 10 years ago, conversations about the end of the gasoline era sounded like the fantasy of environmental activists, the dream of tech startups, and another beautiful presentation by Elon Musk at a Tesla conference. Oil seemed eternal. Gasoline cars had dominated the roads of the planet for more than 100 years. Massive oil corporations controlled national economies, influenced wars, shaped global politics, and determined the cost of living for billions of people. It seemed impossible to change this system, but now, for the first time in a long time, the world has approached a moment when the very foundation of the oil era has started to crack apart. And the paradox is that one of the main accelerators of this process has become the new escalation in the Middle East and the hard confrontation around Iran that began under Donald Trump. After another wave of tension, oil prices once again started rising rapidly. Markets reacted instantly. Tanker transportation became more expensive. Insurance companies raised their rates. Investors began massively pulling money out of unstable energy sectors and searching for alternatives. But most importantly, the governments of the world's largest countries openly started talking about the fact that dependence on oil is becoming a national security threat. And this is no longer only about ecology. The question is now different. What happens to a country's economy if another conflict blocks fuel supplies? What happens if gasoline prices suddenly surge again? And this is exactly why governments have started investing hundreds of billions of dollars into technologies that until recently were considered too expensive and too immature. According to analysts at Bloomberg Energy, investments in electric vehicle infrastructure, batteries, and alternative energy grew at nearly record speed over the last year alone. China is building gigantic battery factories the size of small cities. Europe is subsidizing the transition to electric transportation. Saudi Arabia, which spent decades earning money from oil, is unexpectedly investing billions into solar energy and battery production. Even oil giants like BP and Shell have quietly started restructuring their strategies, understanding that the world is gradually moving toward a new energy era. And although a complete abandonment of oil remains impossible for a very long time, its role is slowly beginning to shrink, especially in the automotive industry. Cars consume an enormous portion of the world's fuel, and it is precisely here that a real technological war is beginning. According to Morgan Stanley, by the end of this decade, electric vehicles could become cheaper than gasoline cars across nearly all major segments. And while range used to be the main fear for consumers, the situation has now changed. Modern electric vehicles can easily travel 500 to 700 kilometers, and some models are already approaching 1,000 kilometers. But another problem has appeared: charging time. This is still what prevents millions of people from switching to electric transportation. Most drivers do not want to wait 30 to 40 minutes at a charging station. People are used to gasoline stations where everything takes only a few minutes. And according to information from several Western publications and insiders within the industry, Elon Musk is preparing to try solving exactly this problem in the near future. According to information published by a number of technology analysts and sources inside Tesla, the company is preparing to launch a new generation charging network called Tesla Hypercharger V5. And if the leaks are true, this is not just a small improvement over existing superchargers. Tesla essentially wants to completely change the principle of charging electric vehicles itself. Several former company engineers speaking with journalists claim that inside Tesla, the project is called Project Flash. Its goal sounds almost insane: to make the charging process faster than an ordinary gasoline refill. According to insiders, the new stations will use a completely different architecture for cooling cables, batteries, and charging modules. The main problem with ultra-fast charging has always been overheating. When a massive flow of energy enters the battery, the temperature rises sharply, leading to battery degradation. That is why most modern electric vehicles limit charging speed after a certain point. But according to rumors, Tesla has found a way to partially bypass this problem using technology originally developed for Tesla Semi. For a long time, Tesla Semi seemed like a strange project. Many analysts did not understand why Musk needed an electric truck. But now it is becoming clear that Semi was not only a vehicle, but also a testing platform for a new energy infrastructure. Trucks require enormous amounts of power, and for them, Tesla created a megawatt charging system. And according to sources, this is exactly the technology now being adapted for ordinary cars. According to preliminary leaks, hypercharger V5 will be capable of delivering between 700 kilowatts and 1.2 megawatts of power in peak mode. For comparison, most modern Tesla vehicles charge at around 250 kilowatts. This means nearly a four-fold jump in power. According to analysts at Wedbush, if such a system really works, a vehicle could gain up to 400 to 500 kilometers of range in just 5 to 7 minutes. Some insiders even claim Tesla is testing scenarios where charging to 70% takes less than 4 minutes. This is exactly what is now causing real panic among oil companies, because if an electric vehicle charges almost as quickly as a gasoline car, the main argument against electric transportation disappears. Many people are already ready to switch to EVs, but they are frightened by the need to spend a long time charging during trips. If charging takes only a few minutes, the difference between gasoline and electricity practically disappears. Moreover, electricity is becoming cheaper. According to Reuters, many countries have already begun preparing for a possible sharp rise in electricity demand. The United States is accelerating grid modernization, China is building new nuclear plants, and Europe is investing billions into solar farms and energy storage systems, because governments understand that if Tesla and other companies truly solve the charging problem, the world could see explosive growth in electric vehicles. Another interesting factor is China. For a long time, China was considered the leader in batteries and charging infrastructure. Companies like BYD, CATL, and NIO aggressively developed their technologies, and some Chinese charging stations already demonstrated incredible charging speeds. But sources claim Musk intends to strike back precisely at the moment when China had begun feeling like the winner of this race. According to several technology bloggers, Tesla is simultaneously developing new batteries with a modified internal cooling structure. This may involve modified second-generation 4680 cells. Engineers allegedly use microchannel cooling directly inside the battery modules, allowing temperatures during ultra-fast charging to be sharply reduced. Moreover, Tesla may introduce a new battery preheating and preparation system even before the vehicle connects to the station. The car would automatically calculate the route and place the battery into the optimal thermal condition ahead of time. But the main question everyone is asking right now is whether this kind of charging will destroy the battery. And opinions here are divided. Skeptics are convinced that megawatt charging will inevitably lead to accelerated battery wear. However, Tesla supporters point to the semi-testing results. According to sources, the trucks underwent stress tests involving thousands of ultra-fast charging cycles, and degradation turned out to be far lower than expected. Some engineers explain this through new battery chemistry. According to unconfirmed reports, Tesla may use improved silicon anodes and special additives in the electrolyte that reduce dendrite formation. Dendrites have long been one of the main problems of fast charging. They damage the structure of the battery and shorten its lifespan. If Tesla has truly managed to reduce this effect, it would become one of the biggest technological breakthroughs of recent years. Against this backdrop, it is especially interesting to watch the reaction of the oil market. The largest oil companies continue publicly talking about the long future of oil, but at the same time they are beginning to actively invest in alternative sectors. According to Financial Times, some investment funds are already reducing the share of oil assets in their long-term portfolios because nobody wants a repeat of the stories of Kodak, Nokia, or BlackBerry, companies that realized too late that the industry was changing. The automotive market is already beginning to restructure itself. Ford, General Motors, Mercedes, BMW, Hyundai, and Volkswagen are all accelerating their transition to electric platforms, and many experts believe Tesla is once again setting the pace for the entire industry. Even if Musk's claims are exaggerated, even if the real specifications turn out to be more modest than promised, the very appearance of a new generation of charging stations could change the psychology of the market. Technological revolutions often happen not when the old technology completely disappears, but when the new one becomes more convenient. This is exactly what once happened with smartphones, and exactly how digital cameras destroyed film. Now, a similar process is beginning to happen with gasoline vehicles. This could hit cities especially hard. In megacities, electric transportation already looks more logical. It is cheaper to maintain, quieter, accelerates faster, and does not require constant spending on gasoline. And if charging truly becomes almost instantaneous, the advantages of internal combustion engines will begin disappearing rapidly. According to insiders, Tesla is also considering implementing a new system of dynamic energy distribution. Future stations will be able to temporarily store massive amounts of electricity inside their own megapack buffer batteries and then deliver it to vehicles through short ultra-high power bursts. This would allow them to avoid overloading urban power grids. Essentially, every station would become a miniature energy hub with elements of artificial intelligence. Some analysts are already calling this the beginning of a new energy infrastructure, not simply charging stations, but a digital energy network of the future, where vehicles, batteries, solar panels, and Tesla data centers work together as a single organism. This is exactly why what is happening now is causing such anxiety within the oil sector, because for the first time in a long time, the threat to gasoline no longer looks theoretical, but completely real. Oil will not disappear entirely. It will remain in aviation, the chemical industry, heavy machinery, and many other sectors. But the automotive market is gradually beginning to move toward electricity. And what is especially symbolic is that the instability of the oil world itself has become the accelerator of this process. Every new conflict, every spike in fuel prices, every war in the Middle East pushes governments and corporations to search for alternatives even faster. The more expensive oil becomes, the more attractive electric technologies appear. That is why many analysts believe the current crisis may go down in history as the moment when the world finally began turning away from the gasoline era toward a new energy reality. And once again, Elon Musk has found himself at the center of this transformation, a man who until recently was called a dreamer, while today, the world's largest automakers are forced to catch up with his technologies. Perhaps some of Tesla's promises will indeed turn out to be exaggerated. Perhaps the first versions of hypercharger will not work perfectly, but even reducing charging time by half would already become a serious blow to the gasoline industry. And if Tesla truly approaches the scenario of charging faster than gasoline, the consequences could be enormous. Because at that moment, the electric car will stop being a compromise, and an entirely different era of the global automotive industry will begin. But the most interesting part begins when analysts try to imagine not the charging technology itself, but the consequences of its arrival. Because if Tesla really manages to make charging almost instantaneous, it will not only change the automotive market, the very logic of the global economy will begin to change. Today, an enormous amount of infrastructure is built around gasoline. Millions of gas stations, oil refineries, logistics routes, tankers, pipelines, auto repair shops. All of this is a gigantic system that has been developing for more than 100 years. And now, for the first time, a technology has appeared that could potentially begin replacing this system much faster than expected. According to analysts at Goldman Sachs, the key turning point comes when a new technology becomes not just more environmentally friendly, but economically more profitable than the old one. And this is exactly where Tesla could create an extremely dangerous situation for the oil market. If a driver can arrive at a station, charge a car in 5 minutes, and pay less than for gasoline, the psychological barrier will begin collapsing incredibly fast, especially in countries where fuel prices are already causing public frustration. Insiders claim that Tesla is considering an aggressive pricing strategy for the new hypercharger V5 network. The first stations may receive government subsidies and special electricity tariffs. Essentially, the company could temporarily make charging so cheap that owners of gasoline cars would literally start calculating losses from every trip. One former Tesla employee said in an interview with a technology channel that inside the company there had been discussions about making the cost of 500 kilometers of driving cheaper than a cup of coffee in some US states. It sounds almost fantastical, but the trend itself is already obvious. Electricity is gradually winning against gasoline in terms of cost efficiency. Oil-producing countries are watching this with particular concern. According to Middle Eastern media, After another spike in tensions around Iran, several Persian Gulf states began urgently revising their long-term strategies. The reason is simple. They understand that if EV adoption accelerates sharply, oil demand could start declining faster than forecasts predicted. And although many experts believe oil will remain a crucial resource for decades, transportation has long been its main source of consumption. Losing even part of the automotive market would mean colossal changes for the entire industry. And here another problem emerges, one that is still rarely discussed publicly. Electric vehicles are becoming an increasingly dangerous competitor not only for oil companies, but also for traditional automakers. Because Tesla is gradually transforming the car into something resembling a smartphone on wheels. The vehicle updates via the internet, gains new features, interacts with the power grid, and becomes part of a massive digital ecosystem. And now Tesla wants to add ultra-fast charging to all of this. According to several American publications, the company is already testing next-generation stations at closed facilities in Texas and Nevada. Sources claim that the cables of the new hypercharger systems will use a new type of liquid cooling. Some elements of the charging system allegedly use technologies developed for AI data centers. This is especially interesting because Tesla is currently building giant AI clusters for training Grok and autonomous systems. As analysts claim, Musk is beginning to merge the energy and AI businesses into a unified infrastructure. In essence, Tesla could create a network where artificial intelligence manages energy distribution in real time between chargers, megapacks, and city power grids. If an overload occurs somewhere, the system automatically redistributes power flow. If a station is idle, energy is sent into storage. If electricity is cheap at night, stations pre-charge buffer batteries so they can deliver megawatts to vehicles in the morning. This is no longer just about charging cars. It is effectively the birth of a new energy architecture. It is also interesting that China clearly understands the threat. According to Nikkei Asia, Chinese manufacturers are rapidly accelerating the development of their own ultra-fast charging systems. BYD, NIO, and Zeekr have already demonstrated prototypes capable of delivering incredible power levels. But the problem is that Tesla has one major advantage: its own global infrastructure network. Chinese companies are strong within China, but Tesla already has thousands of stations around the world. If the company simply begins gradually upgrading them to hypercharger V5, Musk could sharply reduce the gap or even pull ahead again. At the same time, some analysts believe Tesla intentionally delayed the introduction of such technologies because the industry was not ready yet. Power grids in many countries would not have been able to handle the mass deployment of megawatt-level chargers a few years ago. But now the situation is starting to change. The United States is modernizing substations. Europe is building new energy corridors. China is massively expanding its power generation capacity. And right now, a window of opportunity is opening where ultra-fast charging can begin to work in the real world. The potential integration of these new charging systems with Tesla Optimus robots looks especially interesting. Several insiders claim that the company is testing fully automated future stations. Imagine a huge Tesla site with no human staff. Instead, Optimus robots are working. One robot connects the cable, another monitors station conditions. A third automatically replaces cooling modules and maintains equipment. Everything is controlled by Tesla AI. It sounds like science fiction, but this is exactly the model analysts believe Musk is moving toward. Moreover, industry rumors increasingly suggest that Tesla may introduce a fully automatic charging connection system without human involvement. Some company patents show robotic manipulators or even short-range wireless energy transfer at very small distances. While still experimental, if such technologies work, charging would become even simpler. A driver would simply pull up to a station, and everything else would be handled by the system. Some analysts believe that in the future, the company's energy business could become even more important than car sales. If millions of vehicles connect to Tesla's network every day, the company would effectively transform into a global energy operator. Elon Musk has long said that he sees Tesla not as a car manufacturer, but as an energy and AI company. And now those words are starting to sound less and less strange. This is especially true after Tesla sharply increased production of Megapack, It's giant battery systems for energy storage. Many experts believe these systems will become the foundation of the new hypercharger. Massive storage units will accumulate electricity and instantly deliver it to vehicles during peak demand. Without such a system, megawatt-level charging would simply overload city power grids. Some leaks also point to even more ambitious plans. According to rumors, Tesla is testing integration between hypercharger stations and next-generation solar farms. During sunny periods, stations could partially operate on their own generated power. At night, they would rely on stored energy. This would reduce operating costs and make the network less dependent on volatile electricity prices. That is why what is happening today is increasingly being called the beginning of a new energy war. The world is reaching a point where the gasoline era may begin to lose its dominance not because of regulations or bans, but because a more convenient technology is emerging. And that is an even more dangerous development for the oil industry.